some hopelessness, in believing that as a Christian, I said I'm a pastor, I'm a Christian pastor, that Jesus is the answer to that hopelessness.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of churches actually moving out of these type areas. Or if there is a church in the area, now those people are only driving in from the suburbs because they've had the building for years after they've moved.
Yeah.
And realizing that they were doing nothing for the community. If they were, why would we have such poverty around these churches and such drug activity if it truly was a community church?
Yeah.
And we wanted to come into an area and just proclaim Jesus and be a light to that community to where we wouldn't have those issues, because I believe that Jesus can change a lot of stuff, including the surroundings of an area.
Amen, brother. I'm not, too much into religion and stuff like that, but, I know that church is good. Church, has solved a lot of problems and helped out in the community a great deal, and if all people were to get into church and into some of the principles and everything that Jesus put down in the Bible, things would be a whole lot better for everybody.
And we're not even really trying to get people into church necessarily, but we believe that through community too, that things can change if we come together and are unified. And that's why we hold a lot of barbecues at our house. If we can get to know our neighbors, if we can get to know the people around us, things can change. We can be unified in changing a lot.
Amen. Well, free food will do it, especially for black people.
We had some ribs this last week.
Yeah.
Some chicken, and I must be African American.
Yeah,
I tell you what, I love that stuff.
Right, I was down at Clete's house, man, and it's like he had the grill stocked up. It was like all kinds of stuff on there, that he was cooking on too. How many grills you be having going?
I had 2 going.
You had 2 going, and they were chalked up, man. And that stuff was looking good, smelling good, and everything. And they threw a big party down there. And I even bring the dog down. Get lots of kids down there. They want to play with my dog and everything. And they be having fun with him. Now, let me ask you this, Clete. Are you satisfied with the schools that your children are attending in Detroit? There's a 75% dropout rate. If kids start in the 9th grade, like 10 kids, only 3 of them are going to graduate.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then when they do graduate, the quality of the education is usually a lot poorer than if you were in a suburb or in another community other than the Detroit community. So, they're not going to get the same quality education. And then when they hit college, they're basically going to be behind. You're basically going to have to take all kind of refresher courses and all kinds of, which means spending more money to get through college.
Sure.
And then you're going to be in college longer.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like that. So, are you satisfied with the schools and what's going on with your kids?
Yeah, I have 4 children in the public school system, Detroit public school system. My daughters, 16 and 15, they go to Renaissance High School. There are actually 3 test-in high schools in Detroit to where you have to maintain a 2.5 GPA, which they do, but you also have to take a test to be in there. So that is a little different situation than just going to, say, Central or Mumford. They're not in a school that where the kids don't necessarily want to be there. So they're actually in a good environment in those schools, which is a college preparatory school.
Yeah.
Now, my boys are in a local just elementary school here in the neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
And we actually went to several elementary schools, talked to the principals, and we're very satisfied with the school. Now, we would do a little supplemental work at home, actually, with them.
Yeah.
So we kind of knew where they were and would kind of supplement if we felt there was weak in a certain area. Unfortunately, the school my boys attend just closed.
Oh, man. Yeah, okay.
You know how Detroit is.
Yeah, they closing them and knocking them down.
Yeah, so we're trying to figure out where we're going to put them this next year. Of course, we want to put them in Detroit public school system and there again, be a part of this community and and work for the betterment of whatever school they go in. We volunteer a lot.
Yeah.
Do a lot of things like that.
Well, I tell you what, you're doing better than Barack Obama did, because when he had the opportunity to put his kids in public school in Washington, D.C., he said nope, and he went right to private school. You know
I
what
don't
I'm saying?
have the money like Barack.
Yeah, and I thought he was going, I thought he was at least get the public schools a play. Jimmy Carter put his girl in public school.
Yeah. Well, One Iam, you know why he did that, right?
Also, you really embraced the neighborhood. Your kids are even playing football with the West Side Cubs, and your girls are cheerleaders on that same team. Are they? How many white kids are really on those teams?
Well, there's for the West Side Cubs, there's 4 white kids. Or as they call them, white chocolate.
Yeah, white chocolate. How many people on that team would you say?
Oh, there's probably 150 kids out there.
150, and there's 4 white kids.
Now, in my son's public school, elementary school, they were the only 2 white kids.
Okay, out of how many students?
There was probably 300.
300 students.
And where my daughters go to school, there was 12 white kids out of 1,200.
So do they kind of walk around back to back?
Actually, they're almost like rock stars because they're the white kids. Everybody knows them. They've had a hard time learning everybody's name because it's pretty easy. Oh, the white kid's Katie or the white kid's whatever. And so they've had to really try to figure out everybody's name because it's easy for everybody to know them.
Yeah.
They're the white kids. But,
right.
No, they have been really accepted. Honestly, all their friends are African Americans, and so they don't have any. Of course, they don't go to school with any white kids.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Master of many things. Were you saying something?
Yeah, I just wanted to know if you know why Obama put his kids in private school and not public.
I really don't know.
Well, it's because he didn't want any of his girls leaking information to the general public. He had to keep it locked up in secret.
That's it?
That's what I believe.
I could believe that, because he locked up something, his birth certificate, he locked up his school records.
Yeah, and you know how kids talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least if it's in a public school, it's all in with the Bilderbergs and everybody else who already know anyway.
Right. Yep. I thought he was going to give the public schools a play, being a black man and everything, coming into D.C., and then he said he was going to fix up the educational system and all that, and I thought he was going to put his money where his mouth was, and put his kids in public school, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, well, the whole country had that same theory when they elected him.
Right, exactly. Yep. But, Clete, now you say your girls were in Renaissance High School, and what were the numbers in that high school again?
There's 1,200 kids, and as far as white kids, there's 12. Now, most of them were actually came over from different countries, foreign exchange.
Yeah, foreign exchange. Okay, he says there's 1,200 students and 12 white kids out of 1,200. So he basically is a minority in that school, his kids and everything, and they're doing all right. They're not having any problems.
No, they've the only problems they've had were maybe just a couple teachers, but other than that, I think that would have been anywhere. You always have issues with teachers.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right. Now, since you've been here, let me say this: that you can call in if you want, and talk to Clete, talk to me, talk to Debbie. The call-in number is 347-688-2902. And you're listening to Urban Revolution at Revolution Radio on freedomslips.com. I'm your host, One Iam. Clete, let me ask you this. Have you been a victim of any crime since you moved into Detroit City?
I have not been a victim in Detroit. I have been a victim when I first moved here. I needed to rent a building for my business, and I rented one in Hazel Park.
Yeah. And
I had things stolen out of my building in Hazel Park.
Okay.
I have since, I actually, during that time, bought a building on Rosa Parks, not too far from where I actually reside, and have secured it and moved all my inventory in there, but have not had a problem over there.
Oh, okay. Is it barred up and everything?
I have spent more money actually putting in security on that building than I probably did the building.
Yeah. Okay. I know that it has to be that way because Detroit, it's a lot of poverty, man. People are uptight, and they making moves, man. They got to hit that lick, man. Take something, do something, steal something, sell something.
That's right.
And we getting a lot of break-ins and everything over here. We got our own private security and everything riding around the streets and everything. And we have burglar alarms that are monitored. Of course, the police, they're a little slow to show up. They've been cut back and everything because of the city deficits and budget problems. But you definitely got to watch yourself as far as, anything you want to keep. People are watching and they're coming in when you leave and stuff like that and taking what they need.
Yeah, the first week maybe it was the second week we were actually here, there was actually a shootout in our alley.
Okay, yeah.
One of the neighbors caught a guy breaking in a house, and he had his concealed weapons. And anyway, I don't know how the one guy pulled a gun, but it was actually...
And they started shooting at each other?
They started shooting at each other right in our alley.
Oh, man.
So
yeah, that's
that was kind of crazy, though we weren't a victim of anything, but we saw it happen, go down right in our alley.
Yeah, that's kind of dangerous, man, because you can always catch a stray.
Yeah.
And you got to be worried about that, man, especially with family and everything. Man, okay. Are you happy here in Detroit, or do you think it was a bad move?
Oh, man, I've never been happier.
He just told me there was a shootout in the alley. And then he said, man, I've never been happier.
I'm an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah, he's an adrenaline. Okay. I guess that's better than surfing, right? Or snowboarding down the side of a mountain or
Pretty
something.
much. That's what they do out in Oregon, though.
Yeah, that's what they do, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
So...
Do you have any kind of, hey, One Iam, does Clete have any kind of personal protection?
Yeah, you got personal protection?
I don't carry anything on me, though if you get in my bedroom, you'll probably figure that out pretty quick.
Yeah. You could always get a concealed weapons.
I've thought about that. I have never, though, I walk a lot the streets.
Yeah.
Amen.
I have never felt the least bit intimidated by anyone.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just naive, but I've not had an issue.
Well, you know what? If you're not really thinking about it and afraid of it, it pretty much doesn't bother you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you, whatever you're really scared of and you keep thinking about it, like, that dog, I want to get bit by a dog. I want to get bit by a dog. And the more you think about it, the more you draw the dog to you to bite you.
Yeah. Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like you're giving energy to the forces behind whatever it is you fear, and it comes right to you, man.
Yeah.
So ever since you guys...
I didn't hear your dog tonight. Where is he?
You walk your kids aren't scared to walk, whereas people who have been here in Detroit for a long time are scared to come out of their house. I mean, we have neighbors that you've never seen come out, and you'd be like my neighbor over there, when I moved here, I actually have been here almost 2 years. And for the first time, I seen her come out of her house about 3 months ago. And I was like, really? I thought that house was empty because nobody ever came up. But you guys moved right in the neighborhood, start walking, passing out literature, say, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to unite the community. You moved right in and you embraced our community so well that I remember when you initiated that first cleanup. And then we were like, wow. It's amazing how other people have been here for so long and they're scared to do anything, but you guys are just wonderful, just working in our community, and we applaud that.
Well, thank you. And even this weekend, I'm a pastor, but we value working in the community. This Sunday, a lot of times we'll meet in my living room or another fellow's living room. We're not even going to meet as far as to hold a service. We're actually doing a cleanup in an alley on Chicago Boulevard, which is not too far, on the other side, and that's what we'll be doing for our service.
Okay, yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, I came down and talked to your girls, and I said, I got a couple of jobs that I want to do in the neighborhood. And they was like, yeah, well, just come and get us. We'll help you. We'll help you clean up any house that's abandoned, and we'll get the yard cut. I mean, and I just love it because there are so many people that you can approach these days, and, they don't really give a hoot about the neighborhood or where they live at, but you guys are actually helping bring back this neighborhood, which is